No, everybody has equal voting on, the commission set up in Berlin, but not in that. And I've been told in this regard, the chair is just a chair, but the norm, their weight is the same as everyone else's, so they wouldn't be not voting to weigh in.
We don't adopt Robert's rule. I know exactly who. So that's.
Hello.
I got it right here.
Hello, hello. I'm right.
The other thing was. elevation.
They 2 days later, I'll.
His family actually ran the. Yeah, it's a little right. He makes some schedule repair. Yeah, and yeah, another building, second floor. Got approved for drive through. Marketing. A lot, more than it would have got. How do I help? What's that? Brian.
Brian Rogan, can you hear us?
I can.
Thank you. We're going to start.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning meeting of October 17th, 2024. We'll call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Maureen, would you do a roll call, please?
June Daly. Present. Angelou Millard asked to be excused.
Okay.
Ian Jorsey,
Present?
Zigma,
Present.
Brian Rogan,
Here.
Joan Bailey indicated she'd be running late.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Hamel asked to be excused. Michael Pashik asked to be excused. Alternate John Dyken
Present.
and alternate Steve Biella Jr. is not currently.
Okay, and so from this point, we'll seat John Dyken for the meeting.
Thank you.
First item on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes, October 3rd, 2024. Are there any comments?
I didn't have any changes, so I'd
Make a motion.
make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
One thing, I think it's October 3rd.
Yes.
There was a,
Turn your mic
Wrong
on,
vote.
please.
there was a wrong, vote count on there. On the, Chamberlain Highway. Is that the third?
H2O Farm.
H2O Farm, the vote was 6-1, not 7-1.
It would have been 6-1. You're correct.
Any other changes?
No,
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Those in favor with the suggested changes? Aye.
I,
So moved. Next is the approval of meeting minutes for September 21st, 2023. Comments?
I have no suggested changes, so I make a motion that we accept these minutes as written.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
second,
Tim Zigma? Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Approval of meeting minutes for September 28th. Any comments?
No comments, recommend that we accept these minutes as written.
Is that a motion?
Sorry, I meant to say that as a
A
motion.
motion,
Thank
okay,
you.
we have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Dakin. Any comment or any discussion? Those in favor?
aye,
Aye.
So moved. Next item on the agenda, under commission business, site plan amendment, application of Joe DeSoucy, Arctic Home Improvement for the installation of a 70 by 40 steel structure at 855 Berlin Turnpike in the CCD 1 zone. I understand that the application has requested that we extend this or continue. Can I have a motion, please, to continue?
motion to continue
Is there a second?
until the next meeting.
I second.
Okay, clarify the next meeting is scheduled for November 14th.
Okay,
And they did grant an extension to get to that date.
okay, so, 11/14 with extension.
A motion to continue to 11/14, seconded by Commissioner Daley. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Next item on the agenda, item B, bond reductions releases, 833 Deming Road, Metro Realty, request for release of erosion control bond and site bond.
So you'll need two motions on this. The first motion for the erosion control bond, which is the project is completed. The erosion control bond is in the amount of $25,905 with the construction complete. Staff recommends it be released.
Is there a motion to release the erosion control bond
So moved,
for 25,905?
yes,
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to release the bond in the amount of $25,905. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We need a second motion for a release of the site bond.
Did we need?
So vote. Right?
Oh, I see Steve Biella has joined us. So, but Brian Rogan, I didn't hear his vote.
But that was an aye.
Okay. And shall we see Steve?
Yeah. Yeah, there's only 6.
Just writing when he's at
Mhm.
what item. So the site bond for a total is a total of $164,424. The landscaping was installed September of 2023, so that's been in over a year. However, the other site work was not installed until over the winter. So staff's recommending that you retain the 10% weight maintenance bond, which is $16,424 and release $148,000.
48 even.
Appeared, yeah, 24, 24, yeah. We did this math a number of times.
Okay, so the recommendation from staff is to release 148,000.
Make a motion to release 148,000 in site bond.
You have a motion to release 148,000. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Daley. And those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Steve Biella?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public hearing, special permit use with site plan amendment application of Calco Construction and Development Incorporated for a mixed-use redevelopment with a drive-through restaurant and site improvements at 466 Deming Road, 337 Berlin Turnpike, and 51 Worthington Ridge, property of 337 Berlin LLC and the BT1 zone. This public hearing was opened on September 19th and heard again on October 3rd. And do we have anybody here on behalf of the applicant? Hi there.
Be sure to sign in. Having trouble with that.
Maybe it comes with the building. For the record, my name is Sarah Castagliola, licensed PE from BL Companies, headquartered in Meriden, Connecticut. The item that I'm passing out is the revised rendering for Building 1, which is the southernmost building.
Thank you.
So we've been here before, and I have reps from McDonald's architecture and the architecture as well. But I will discuss mainly what has changed since the last meeting, which was we received some comments from the town engineer, and we had addressed those, which those were provided within your packets for tonight. And the architecture for both buildings was revised as well. I'd be happy to address any civil components. Otherwise, I can pass it to the architects or allow you to ask them questions.
Does anybody have any questions at this point, or do you want to hear more?
Did you offer to tell the differences? The changes or?
So architecturally, the changes. I'll let Jennifer, you can cover that one.
Yeah, I can cover the changes for the McDonald's restaurant, but I'm not working on the other buildings.
So I think at our last meeting, my recollection is that our discussion was hoping to aim for something that was more of a New England style, maybe a little less contemporary.
Correct.
I guess I'm not seeing that in this representation. If you could maybe offer some comment on this rendering would be helpful.
Sure. So to try and blend in with the New England look, we added a slope to two sides of the building up
Building
at the,
one? No.
well, it's around a corner to add a little New England character with the standing seam metal roof. We've lightened up the clapboard siding also to kind of bring a more traditional look to it. We've added some trim to the windows and some mullion or muttons, also per request for a more traditional look. And then some brick wainscoting around the entire building. Oops. Oh, there we
Okay,
go.
I think when I started the discussion, I was looking at the wrong picture.
Oh,
Sorry, it takes me a minute to get things up and going.
no worries.
They want to meet tonight.
Did you want me to go back over?
Okay, so now we have it up on the screen so everybody can see it, so that's helpful. Okay. Are there other questions or comments from the commission or staff regarding architecturals, or shall we move on? Yeah.
I will have an engineering comment
Okay,
before she leaves this.
okay.
Go with this.
I mean, thank you for coming tonight. It's a beautiful design. Just curious, is this something that your company just came up with? Or is this sort of like, from my recollection, last time the discussion was about that McDonald's doesn't necessarily have to have its standard design, and they could, maybe make adjustments for, when there's a potentially like this New England look. Is this something that was sort of canned that is now just being applied now, or is this something that has been come up with in the last 2 weeks? It's beautiful. I'm just curious as to how that happened.
It's sort of a mix. We have applied this design to another project in New England area. The exact site escapes me at this moment.
It's,
And then we,
Franklin, Mass.
I'm sorry,
to me.
pardon?
It's Franklin, Massachusetts.
Okay. And I know we did change the color scheme for this one. So it's sort of a mix. It's not 100% new, and it's not 100% old either. It's sort of a mix.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner Zigmund?
Are you, the signage that's on this building, is signage that you would, type of signage that you would use? Because I'm
It's-
asking, I see the McDonald's is a backlit, I guess, sign that's not the yellow, which is good. And I just wonder this kind of sign you'd be using.
Yes, whatever we put in here is what we would use.
Okay.
And the signs are standard for the most part. Like we don't typically do customized signs. Sometimes if they cannot be backlit, then we won't backlight them and we put lights above. But as far as the size and the look, because it's a brand, so they don't vary too much.
Is it different materials, or is it just the different color and the same sort of siding?
The siding is the same material, just a different color. It's fiber cement clapboard siding. Or are you talking about the dark siding versus the light siding in this particular building?
I didn't know if there was a difference with the dark. Certainly the beige is different. So I was
Yeah,
thinking,
the dark siding on this, those are actually Apollic panels. Those are metal panels.
okay,
So I guess that is a yes, different material, sorry.
thank you.
For the record, Chairman Veely has joined us. I'll continue to chair through this item, but she will be joining us and joining in discussion. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my thoughts together. So this is the proposal for the McDonald's?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, my first impressions is, okay, so this is a good start. So what else is going to happen to this building? No, I'm serious because last time we were here, you were before us. One of the points that I made was I wanted to see something that you would build in, what was it, Newport, Rhode Island, or something that you would put at the Cape. And I do know that with the corporations, they do have different levels and designs available for the same product. I don't want something that I would see. I know the thought is that, let me rephrase. I know the thought is that it's going on the turnpike and who's going to care. We care very much because that whole Deming Road we've gone through is morphing into something more than just a business area. It's morphing into a business area that allows for housing, and it's morphing into a business area that has loads of landscaping and good architecture. And we want this to continue with that. And I'm not getting the sense that this is a very warm and kind of fuzzy and welcoming kind of McDonald's. And I know that there's McDonald's that are cast out to look like New England homes with clapboards. I know that they have all sorts of intricate designs, a lot of faux windows even, anything to spruce it up. And I'm just not catching that from this design. But maybe you can elaborate on that for me.
Yeah, typically we don't do too many of those designs that you speak of with the very traditional look. McDonald's likes to do a very branded type of architecture. So a lot of those, I guess, more specialized buildings are actually McDonald's that have perhaps gone into old buildings. Like in the cities, they're in inline. Some of those New England ones, I don't believe those were originally McDonald's buildings. And so I think that's where you're seeing some of that difference. We can go back and add more details to this and try to bring it to a level that you feel more comfortable with. I can go back and see what the client is thinking about.
Jump in. My name is Eric Wagner. I'm actually the area construction manager for McDonald's. So I'd like to address some of your questions.
Can I just ask you to really lean into that?
Yeah, sorry about
microphone
that. Yeah,
because
okay, no
the
problem.
microphone doesn't pick up voice as well.
I'll send it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So when we got the comments from the last round, we went back and looked at the design to see what we could incorporate to make the design a little bit more appealing to the board. So what we looked at was obviously lighting up the building. I think that was one of the directions, so we took that into consideration. When we design a McDonald's, we try to minimize the amount of slope roofs that we have on the building because of the amount of equipment that we need on our roofs. So we tried to take in some of the New England style architecture and add the sloped roofs in the front portion of the building, but we're trying to minimize the impact of the amount of roof square footage that we have for our exhaust fans, our HVAC equipment, and items like that. Could we look at some additional details? If there's something specific that you're looking for, we can definitely accommodate that. But that's one of the things that we try to stick, try to not add too many slope roofs because of that issue in our designs. As mentioned, We did try to incorporate some other elements. I believe there's some light fixtures over the windows. We added some additional detail around the windows. We added the brick around the base of the building, which you would see in the New England style architecture. So there's elements like that we did incorporate into the design, but if there's something specific that you're looking for, we'll gladly take that into consideration and modify the design again if necessary.
I think that the vision that we have would be for something of more of a pitched roof, and even if that were a facade that would conceal the flat roof behind, might be workable. Looking at this, I understand that the pitch, you have a small amount of pitched roof there to kind of give a feel, but it's not really, I think, what we're thinking about. We're thinking more New England-y looking.
I had a question. So if referring back to the design that was presented to us at the last meeting, sort of, it'd be fair to say that that was sort of like the default design?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything in the McDonald's franchising agreement or licensing agreement which restricts the building from being designed in such a way that deviates from that too much? Like, is there any barriers that we might go up against in trying to figure out what would be appropriate for the commission, just so that we can think a little bit? I mean, we're not just throwing things at you.
The biggest barrier is our roof, is trying to keep as much of a flat roof as possible. We have about 37 tons of HVAC equipment. We have exhaust fans, multiple of them, and there's certain clearances that we have to have between the certain types of equipment that's on the roof to make sure that we're complying with code. So that's the biggest part that we need to hold. The materials, we've done brick buildings, we've done different finishes. We have a portfolio of different items we can select through, but that's the only thing that we try to save as much as possible. It is, I've done some buildings with maybe a few more slope roofs around it, but typically we still have the straight walls, and we'll just add some additional slope roofs on the lower portion of the building if necessary.
But is that something that is restricted by the licensing agreement or the franchise? Okay.
It's not.
Okay, thank you.
The reason why we want the slope roofs basically all the way around is that it hides the equipment that you're talking about. Okay. And that's what we don't want to see, the air conditioning units and vents and stuff like that protruding from the roof. It basically hides it, especially when this is a little lower than the Berlin Turnpike. Not a great much, but it also will be able to see the roof, top of the roof. And I don't know if it's, like you said, an angle roof on the
Yes.
lower part of it, or just small angle roof on the top. But that would complete it. This is a hardy board type siding, which this commission has gone towards most of the time, so I don't have any problem with the siding except the middle one, which is not that much of metal there. And the board also liked accent moldings around doors and windows. Okay. So that may be something or awning over the windows, or small pitch awning over the windows, something like that. That brings it back to the more of a look that we've been looking for on most of our projects. So that's my suggestion.
I'm not sure if which of you would be appropriate to respond, but could you clarify which view would be facing which street? Which view is facing Deming? Which view is facing the Turnpike? And clarify whether or not the what's proposed will actually conceal the view of the rooftop units.
The bottom view is the one on Deming, and the top left is the one on the Berlin Turnpike. And as far as grades, it actually varies how much the road is different from the buildings, but in the corner where McDonald's is, there's only about a 2-foot difference, so it's not a huge grade change between the road and the site.
Okay, but will the view of the rooftop utilities be concealed, or will they be visible?
They should be concealed. And that's partly why the walls are tall all the way around the building, is because it conceals the equipment.
Because there's only 2 feet of grade change. It's not like a scenario where
Yeah.
you're looking down at the roof.
If the roof is concealing the mechanicals now, the way it's designed, then a pitch roof can come from the top of the wall out, or like an eave over, continuing that pitch roof all the way around. That's, we got two concerns, is the look of it, the square box look of most of the building, and not having a pitch of the roof. The metal steel roof is now a feature that's really up and coming on the steel roofs. They have designed steel roofs, which may be a little bit better than the straight steel roof. But if the roof is higher, the flat roof is higher now, at least that means your flat roof is down underneath here. Then a pitch can be put on there without affecting your mechanicals.
It would be like just surface applied to the edge of the walls and project out from the building. Is what I think you're suggesting?
Basically, yeah, it's a eave, hangover eave with a pitch on it to the top roof line.
Okay,
You
we can
come
look
down.
at that. I think there's limits to how much of that we can do. We can do it around the building, but you can't bring it out too far because it becomes a structural issue.
Commissioner
But
Daly?
we can
Yeah,
look at adding more of a slope around.
Help me remember, is there going to be outdoor seating or tables
No.
or? No.
No, not on this one.
I believe I'm expecting another image to share.
Oh,
Sure.
okay. I think we're going to have another image where,
Yeah, okay. Oh, there we go.
Just wanted to show you another option of still trying to keep the flat roof, parapet wall, but the lower roof structure, something that I built that location in Millis, Massachusetts. I don't know if that would be something else you would consider. I still like the building that's on the screen, I think. And again, that building that I sent you, we can change the colors, but that, again, trying to get that New England style, get some sloped roofs, hide the mechanicals, but I like the other building better, my own preference. But I just wanted to show you another option of what we've done to show you we do have options to change things on our buildings.
the rendering better that you submitted tonight too.
What, if I'm looking at that building, what does stop you to bringing that pitch up to the top of the building?
Top of the parapet.
The top parapet.
Have just a higher sloped roof. You know, it's just the pitch of the roof.
I mean,
It only sticks out about 3.5.
the height of this roof right here.
Yep. You're just looking to raise it.
And if you just put it high as it, go right up the top, all the way around, the same as this roof. Uh, you know,
So that's similar to the rendering that you're looking at. We tried to do that. Could we do some additional roofs? Possibly. I could look at it. I haven't done a design with everything up top raised and a complete roof around it. Could we look at it to see what it looks like? Yes. That's just another example that's on the screen now that I built in Millis, Massachusetts.
if you have that roof coming from the top, you always supposed to put your down lighting inside the
Yeah.
overhang.
We're just trying to add
you
some
know.
character to the building to make it kind of blend in, to give multiple materials, kind of give that natural earth tone colors to the building as well, to kind of blend into multiple buildings that are hopefully in the area.
If the walls surrounding the top of the roof were to be raised, would it create any access issues to the HVAC system or anything like that?
Could you say that one more
No.
time?
In other words, if the roof, walls were raised to potentially hide the HVAC system and other equipment up there, would it potentially create any access issues, like being able to get up there in an emergency or
Oh,
something?
on the back of the building, there'll be a roof ladder and there will be a small access that you could access from back there.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners Rogan or Biella, any questions regarding architecture?
No questions. I definitely like the new rendering more. Looking at the picture that's currently on the screen, I have to say that does have a bit of an awkward feel to it. Almost reminds me a little bit of a bowl cut, like hairstyle. If anything, I think the issue with the slope, I mean, personally, I kind of like symmetry. So if you could you go back to that, yeah. So I think where I'm kind of I guess having an issue with the architecture is that something just doesn't feel right. It feels off balance. And I think that's if you go to the top of the photos there, the one on the left, I would personally like a little bit more symmetry there. I'm not sure if the standard box look would look better or if you were to wrap it all the way around. But something just feels something just feels off.
And another option is, taking that roof, that sloped roof, and lowering that to around the windows, and maybe that will change the look of the building a little bit, possibly. I'm going kind of mixing in that other design with this one.
So I think what I'm picking up from Commissioner Rogan's comments, when you're considering symmetry, the slope of the roof and the portion of the roof, I guess the portion of the roof that is sloped seems to be off scale to the height of the wall.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was suggesting maybe lowering that to kind of break up that, so it doesn't look like that roof ties it in a little bit
Tiny,
better, I think.
yeah. Yep. Commissioner Biella, any questions, comments?
No, nothing at this time. Thank
Do we want to hear more about non-architecture and we can get back to this?
Yeah, if you want.
Think about the rest of the site?
Yeah.
Oh,
We also, if you want to stick on architecture with a different building, have John,
Yes,
you can talk about building
yes,
building one.
that would be good.
Evening,
there.
Commissioners. John Sinise, the owner of the development. So we have the industrial surplus building that's existing today. It's an industrial building with flat roof. We're on the path of more modern feel with our tenant group. So this is a basic rendering we had created by our architects. We're negotiating with several tenants for the space. The corner elevation right now shows brick, combination of brick, metal canopies, a parapet wall, and PVC or hardy plank siding. So there's a combination of materials that be implemented on this building between not culture stone, thin stone, brick, siding panels, and ephes. We would not do a slope roof on this building. We can't. It doesn't, first of all, and in my opinion, it's not a New England feel building. It's an industrial building. We're trying to take this building now and bring it to more current standard style, raising the parapet walls. So that wall you see in the front is 28 foot high. The existing building's 20 feet. So all the mechanical systems on that roof would be sheltered by the parapet wall, so you won't see anything. So the front of the building and the side along Deming Road would be elevated, approximately 6 to 8 feet higher than what existing building's parapet wall is today. But based on the tenants we're negotiating with for the space, some of the architectural features could change. You know, one company wants brick. They like brick in their architecture, and coupled with ephes and or clapboard siding. And then some other companies want stone. So what we're seeing in our developments is a feel of different elevations between the tenants. So when you go by the building, it looks like it's not cohesive in one style. It's got multiple styles. Gives the building some interesting characteristics of interest. Personally, I like the McDonald's plan that was presented to flow in line with this building because it got more of a modern feel. We're not going to make it colonial feel. We can't. It's just not suitable for that structure.
Clarify, are you talking about the original proposal for McDonald's or the one that we're looking at?
This one that was presented tonight.
Okay.
I was just speaking with the architect for McDonald's. I said, maybe the possibility of adding a tower on the Deming Road side. So you have 3 towers, may give it more symmetry that the commission is looking for. So it gives Deming Road a little more character, which I think would look good. But our goal here is to modernize this corner and create a unique architectural feel to attract the tenants that want to be here and B, showcase that corner.
So for the industrial building, the existing building is actually going, there's a portion to be removed on the northern, like northwestern.
So the section that's got the
Corner.
glass
Mhm.
currently, that's demoed. So that would be fully demoed straight back from along the Deming Road corridor. Then a new wall would be built. That's where we're going to put the 26, 28 foot high wall. So that entire existing wall comes down, the building gets torn down. I think it's 40 feet of the building comes down. And then we would build a new wall, create a new storefront. The existing front of the building, we would cut in the existing concrete walls, new storefronts, and then build a new parapet wall off the existing building, raising it up. Adding the storefronts along Berlin Turnpike.
Would it be possible to have a rendering showing both buildings as proposed?
McDonald's and
Mm,
well, McDonald's is a separate building, so it's
right, but you know, from our consideration, this is a primary intersection and very visible even from the southbound lanes of the turnpike. And so I think it would be helpful for us to kind of have a feel for what the buildings together are going to look like. It's kind of hard to, I agree with you that the McDonald's rendering for this evening and what you're presenting here kind of match. You know, they complement each other. I think I don't know if the rest of you on the commission want to have a feel for what the whole thing together looks like.
I
Commissioner
think you said
Rogan?
that.
Yes,
I
Brian?
actually, kind of following that. I wouldn't mind actually having a rendering that shows the other second, industrial building, so we could, have a view of the entire site plan. I know that it's not being changed, maybe some minor, facade improvements were gonna be, done to the building, but I think it'd be really helpful to see the whole project.
You're saying the third building, the existing second building?
So you have the building pictured, you have the McDonald's, and then they have another warehouse building. I know they said they're gonna do some minor facade improvements to it, but I wouldn't mind seeing a rendering that shows all three so that we could really get a good view of this project.
Commissioners?
I'm questioning on this one here. We're getting close. It's pretty good. But the walls here on this side go all the way up past the top of the roof here. And this one doesn't, and the one over the carport, whatever, doesn't. Talk about having it look the same. We had this same thing with another building. Matter of fact, one of the applicants here tonight, we raised these throughout the building, and it really came out very nicely when we did it all the same. So that might be something to raise this up like that one, and that one over the carport, same thing.
So those are higher.
I'm sorry, but Commissioner, could you, if you flip it, I'll try to point on the
Well, these
screen.
here, these here are high.
These
right.
two.
This one here only doesn't go up as high as this one, these here. And over the carport, there's nothing over there. Okay, so to make it look somewhat the same, I would recommend that those taller
Mhm.
features would be in every place.
Are you thinking of the Starbucks?
Yeah, I'm thinking of
Yeah.
Starbucks. We did that at Starbucks. We raised the thing.
Yeah, so
And it really came out nice. It took that boxy look away that it was before we put those up there.
Commissioner Daly?
Yeah, I was listening earlier to your conversation where you were saying you're in discussion with different clients that might help rent that space and that they may have a design request on the outside. But I think what Commissioner Tim was saying is that that basic structure is underneath and we can see consistency, down the walls, that the materials itself. I don't know, would that have to come back in front of us again if it's different than the drawing that he does for us?
I would think so. And we have other information to consider too.
Yes, thank you. No, just going back to the McDonald's, and I'm just trying to think of how to reconcile that. I mean, I understand that the company or whoever the purchaser or the owner of the property does not want to yield and is very excited about this design. However, I just can't put my head around it. Looking at this McDonald's that you now have in front of us, I think you sort of need to incorporate that into the drawings that you're offering us, that thing. It's just so boxy to me, and I really want to sort of cut it up. I need to diminish its boxiness, is what I'm saying. I just feel it's very sterile. I don't feel like it's like someplace I would want to go and sit down and have a coffee or an egg sandwich or something like that. I don't get that feel from it. And it's an important corner, as Acting Chair Jorsey had stated. And I'm very concerned because if I remember correctly, this is sort of gonna be on the cusp of that corner. In other words, McDonald's is gonna be what everyone's gonna see first. So I'm trying to make that super attractive so that people will want to see what's even behind McDonald's. And if you make it sort of sterile looking like every other McDonald's, and I don't know, I think people might just keep going. And you want to take advantage of that corner and you want the traffic to come in. You need to somehow warm it up and make it more inviting, I think, especially since you're planning upon doing this other part of the development. You want it to catch people's eyes so that people will say, wow, look at that new McDonald's on the Berlin Turnpike. You know, I'm going to try it out. And in the process, they may look beyond that and see what other businesses are offered there. So I think this is going to have to be your hook to kind of get people in. And that's why I'm pushing for a better project. Not because I don't like McDonald's or if I'm snooty or something. It's just that I want it to be the best McDonald's there can be in the area. And so that's why I'm pushing for it to have a warmer feel. I'm looking for it to have sort of a New England flair. I'm looking for it to be a place where maybe a couple people might want to stop and have a cup of coffee instead of at a local bar.
Um, New England Flair, Bishop's Corner, I think it is across from the mall. That was a very good looking New England Flair shopping center, right? And 2 years ago, they stripped the face of that plaza and they modernized the entire center. Very modern. Because that's the trend of the retail architecture. So they took all the New England off that plaza and they made it very modern. I understand where you're coming from about New England Flair, but it's not where these retailers are going today. They're not going into downtown Litchfield. They're with this Berlin Turnpike. So they want their prototype model, and pretty much even the tenants we're dealing with. We just built the building. We put stone, building, thin stone, real good looking stone. We got a tenant right now. They're gonna rip it all off. They're gonna rip it off and put the brick. And I say, why do you want to take off all the stone? But it's not what they want. They want their look. So they're going to their prototype design. And we, as a landlord, got to say, okay, we'll go with it, or B, we won't, and they don't move there. So we have to work with the tenant. When we go back to this industrial building, we're still working on the building, trying to attract tenants. We don't really know who's taking the corner. So we're not going to go there till we identify the tenant. We'd have one tenant taking a good chunk of it. We still got the corner, and the corner is critical for us. So that's going to drive what we do with this building. The goal is definitely 28 feet or even 30 feet high, as high as I can get it. What I want to do is I want it to pronounce the street. As far to say, okay, we don't even know if we're going to have 2 tenants here or 4. So hopefully in the very near future, we will know, but I'm just trying to show the commission where the design would go, okay? Every entranceway would be pronounced. So when you talk about, you want the entryway with the canopies to be 4 feet higher, or, give it some architectural character, that's what we want to do. We want to raise where all the entranceways of these stores would be. And doing a parapet wall with a box feel, like what you see here. If you go down Queen Street, they have it down there. All the new centers are pretty much doing this type of architecture. All I can say to the commission, it's going to be way better than what's there right now, right? I don't know if McDonald's is on the camp of doing a colonial style building. I think they tear them down today. All the buildings that they had that were looked like they were colonial sloped roofs with shingle asphalt siding, they're tearing them down. They're building these new prototypes. I hope you can understand where,
I understand what you're saying. I think that my response though to what you're suggesting is that
And
We don't-
that ain't the,
no, I understand that. I don't think we necessarily want to be like everybody. It will definitely be an improvement on the corner, on that corner. I don't know if I really had ever envisioned, for myself anyway, a fast food restaurant on that corner, but I can see that it fits for what your proposed use for the other building is, because if it's some sort of a recreation thing, or, it would be a place that people could grab something to eat quick, it's convenient. I'm thinking though that landscaping will go a long way to soften what's maybe objectionable to us, for the straight lines and the boxiness of it all, which neither of the renderings is really conveying to us. But I think landscaping can go a long way to kind of soften some of that. So, Commissioner Daly.
I'm gonna cause trouble because I like the drawing that's up there now on the screen because it gives you some modernist to it with the angled perception on the roof line and breaks it up with the framework all around. I like that style because it kind of splits the difference of modern versus traditional.
And I just wanted to show you another option of capabilities of different colors, different architecture of what we're capable of. It's not New England style. I'm actually building this location in Blue Point, New York right now. I think it's a very sharp building. It has the lighter colors. I just looked up the Starbucks that you guys had referenced, and I'm just trying to find something that maybe ties into other buildings within the town.
I don't know,
Mr. Sigma?
I'm just gonna talk. When we have a development like this, in which I praise you for bringing this in, I think we've seen a lot of other stuff on this land, and this is the best thing we've seen on this land. Is that the finished product, we like it to be like a campus type thing, okay? The buildings could be a little bit different in structure, materials may be similar, but with the landscape and materials of the building, you're bringing in some of the materials from the McDonald's, as you saw, us onto this building, into that campus atmosphere of all the buildings on the property is something that, and the greenery that we like, so the overall project comes together, and that's more than my feeling than anything else. The hardy board and stuff like that. That's a thing that we've been looking at, and you know, you did like on this picture of McDonald's, you did the goose light land over the windows and stuff like that. That's all so if the whole project can easily look together, I think it's a good thing for the developer and the looks of it, because it's a major intersection for us. And we're trying to promote Berlin Turnpike, just like you're going to try to promote Berlin Turnpike, because we haven't had that over the years. And this thing, I think, would bring in a lot more. Like you look at other abandoned buildings down the highway, you know,
Thank you, Tim.
So
we got
the latest, Commissioner Rogan, the latest photo that was shared on the screen, personally, I like it. That has that symmetry that I was talking about earlier, and I think it would go well with your other building that you presented. And also, I think considering, Orsini's project across the street with his strip mall there and the Home Depot Plaza, I think they all share a bit of a uniformity. So that's my thoughts. I like that one the most.
Thank you, Brian. Joan?
Are there any others you can show us? We're going in the right direction, you see. So, and I will say that I do prefer this so far as to what we've seen. I think it's coming a little bit closer. And I think what is a little bit more attractive about it is your use of the windows. And they're not just committed to one side, but it's several sides. The canopies that are over the windows, I'm wondering if it would help to have them extended all the way around where there are windows. Because I'm thinking to myself, if somebody's gonna go and, I'm not sure where the entrance is on this one, but if somebody is walking in and it's raining or snowing or something, that covered, if they've got to walk around the building to get to their car, that covered would protect them from the elements. And plus it would help the windows to shade it, like in the summer. That canopy over the extended canopy would break the sun from coming in and baking somebody if they're inside the building, just sitting by the window. But, so I mean, and I think architecturally it sort of, it diminishes the size of the building in the sense that it breaks it up. And it would allow for the lighting or whatever. But this is definitely more in line with what I'm looking for, something that's more unusual to the Turnpike. So I'll ask you again, do you have anything else that you can share?
The driveway.
Oh, but I've got you thinking, don't I? Isn't that wonderful? Oh, and I know that you will.
This is one of the newer buildings that I've built with some different colors. So I have a limited number of photos I could share of something like this because it is our newer style building. It's the lighter tone, the rendering that you saw the first time around, that is our standard prototype building. We have some color variations, but this is when we get into, this is Long Island, New York. They have a specific architecture that they're looking for, and this is what we created within that area.
Well, so I think we're making progress. Is there, other than the architecturals, is there other information to present this evening before we go to staff or ask for public comment? Yeah, this is public hearing. What?
I have no other information to go through. The changes that we completed based on the engineering comments were primarily adding more information to the details, modifying slope of some sanitary sewer pipes, but nothing substantial on the site changed.
Thank you. Maureen?
So, I have a couple of things, going back to the architecture. Just real quick, the signage that's shown on the renderings does not appear to be compliant with our regs. That might have been touched upon early in the conversation, but it does appear to be in excess of the amount allowed. So therefore, that certainly, and with any approval, you always, for the most part, include a recommendation that signage be subject to zoning approval, et cetera. However, I think with the design guidelines, you'll also be looking at that signage a little bit. So that'll have to be modified, and whether it's or after approval is, it's subject to the condition you decide to put on. As the engineer stated, I'm sorry. Sarah, I'm sorry, commented that our town engineer did get some modified plans from them. He's been going through them. However, he still does have some concerns with regards to particularly the sanitary piping, and he would ask that the commission may want to ask the applicant for an extension so that that can get resolved. It looks like there's some other things that need to be resolved. On that note, I'll remind you that it is a must close date without extension time, so they would have to grant an extension in order to keep the hearing open. And Also call to your attention that one of the newer comments you got was, from the Conservation Commission. They had, ended up with a canceled meeting before hearing opened, but then did have a meeting date, and basically, the comment, they agreed with the letter that you received from Brandon Pete, but, the basics of it is a robust landscaping buffer towards the river. And I'm sure their engineers can discuss that more as to what's adequate and not. It was approved by the Wetlands Commission. However, that is an area prone to flooding. And there is additional land for pervious surfaces. That's all I have for now. You got the rest of the comments.
Thank you. So this is a public hearing. We are happy to take questions from the public or comments if anybody cares to join in on the conversation. Anybody in the audience want to make comments? No? Okay, I guess the next question is whether or not the applicant would consent to an extension.
Yes, they would.
And so Maureen, the next meeting would be, the extension meeting would be November 14th, is that right?
Yes. Just my calendar, because I always like to double check, November 14th,
Okay,
That's a Thursday, right?
and that is a Thursday. You modified your schedule a number of months ago for the second, the third, or the second Thursday of the month instead of the first.
okay. Is there any other information you have to present to us tonight that I'm forgetting to ask about or we haven't talked about yet?
I believe that was all. I guess the only thing I wanted to comment on was the Conservation Commission statement, their second item. They said that added that lack of detention is a concern because the area regularly floods and flood mitigation is a concern. We do have 3 detention systems on site, so we do have detention and are reducing the peak flows. So I just wanted to have that clarified.
Thank you, that's helpful. Okay, before we take a motion to continue, does anybody here have any questions?
One
Comments?
quick question before they go. I know last time we spoke, we asked about the exit onto Deming Road and if there's anything that could be done to push it further down, because of how close it was to the intersection. Has there been
So
any
you're saying
consideration?
further east, Brian?
Yes, towards Rocky Hill.
Mm-hmm.
That's still in DOT's jurisdiction since Deming is also a state road, which they're currently reviewing, but thus far they had no concerns with the location since it is substantially further east than the current driveways are. So they so far have been pleased with the location.
Okay. And so to send them off, I guess, with directions for consideration architecturally, is the consensus of the commission preference for the most recent rendering?
I would say so, but I'm also interested in seeing what else they can serve up.
The Long Island location?
The Long Island.
The last picture that came up.
yeah.
Yeah, the last picture that came up. I like that.
I just have one question. As we try to develop something that everyone will like, is there an opportunity to share it with anyone prior to the next meeting to make sure that we're on the right track, that we can maybe come into the next meeting with a little bit more confidence that we might get the approval?
Anything that comes in, you can share with staff, we can disseminate it. I really can't, no, there's not that
Can't really
public
deliberate
back,
on
there's
it. or
not that
talk-
back
yeah.
and forth,
Sure.
but we can, our planning staff has served the commission for a reasonable period of time. We could probably help you a bit,
Yeah, just to get a little bit of feedback to make sure.
and it will be
Right direction.
disseminated to the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. It can be,
Thank you.
if it comes in time, I'll just say that. I will just add that I would need, if you don't mind, providing in writing the extension, just you can email it to me and Ashley. Thank you.
Okay, so I think for this evening, we need a motion to extend.
Make a motion
Or
to extend to
continue.
11/14.
All right, well then I'll second the motion.
Sorry, I didn't see you doing it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this to November 14th. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, so thank you. We'll see you on November 14th.
You want to keep going?
No, I would very much like for you to take over.
Okay.
So at this point, I'll be stepping down as chair for the meeting, and Commissioner or Chairman Veely will step in as chair for the rest of the meeting.
That was kind of fun. Thank you. All right, so on to the second item, which is a special permit with the site plan application
Yes.
for Peter Lapointe for
yeah.
the fast food use with the drive-through and site improvements at 1073 Farmington Avenue and 40 Porter's Pass, property of Colvest Kensington LLC in the CCB2 zone.
All
right.
Double check if the call in the hearing is there. You have a call of the hearing up there?
There
Brian,
is not,
actually,
there is not a folder.
you bear with me for 1 second while I find the legal note.
Oh, sure.
No manila folder.
No, I see.
Thinking she might not have remembered.
I blew up these guys' heads already. Did a good job in Starbucks.
Who gets to read it?
Just happen to have that.
Read?
I'll read.
Okay, it's much better than me having to find it in the file folder.
Okay. Town of Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission Notice of Public Hearings. The Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission will hold public hearings at a regular meeting on Thursday, October 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Town Council Chambers, Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Interested parties may join the meeting and participate in the public hearings in person or remotely as provided below. Special permit with site plan application of Peter Lapointe for a fast food use with a drive-through and site improvements at 1073 Farmington Avenue and 40 Porter's Pass, property of Colvest Kensington LLC in the CCD2 zone. The applications and related meeting materials are available at the Planning and Zoning Department, Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Remote access to this meeting is available by Zoom video conference at the following link, which is provided. This is dated the 30th day of September 2024 at Berlin, Connecticut. Brian Rogan, Secretary, Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission. This was run in the New Britain Herald Legal Notices Classified Advertising on Friday, October 4th and Friday, October 11th, 2024, and posted with the Berlin Town Clerk on Monday, September 30th, 2024.
Thank you, Ms. Jorsey. Okay, all right, we have arrived. And how are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Oh, good.
For the record, I'm Peter Alter. I'm a lawyer. I practice law in Glastonbury at the firm of Alter, Pearson and Hope. We represent Colvest Kensington LLC, the owner of the property and developer. We do have, just for the record, the mailed notices, mailing receipt that I just
Thank you.
to Maureen. And also I'll note for the record that sign was posted on the site more than 10 days ago. So that I think we have complied with all of the legal notice requirements. Tonight, besides hearing from me, on behalf of the applicant, you'll hear from Dana Steele, who is our professional engineer, and Peter Lapointe, who's the vice president in real estate and construction for Colvest. Also present tonight on behalf of F.A. Hesketh is Gulid Mahamud. Did I get that right? Thank you. He's our traffic engineer. You have a full traffic report prepared by F.A. Hesketh, and also the report from your chief of police with respect to traffic, rather than belabor the traffic report, which obviously is very extensive. And if the commission has questions, we're happy to answer them or to address specific issues as we go along. The application is called out for in the public hearing notice is a special permit with site plan approval. We are in the CCD2 commercial core design zone. And as part of this project, one of the aspects of it is that we are going to merge the 1073 Farmington Avenue parcel with the 40 Porter's Pass parcel. Your regulation for this zone requires properties to be 2 acres as the minimum size. Neither of those two parcels are 2 acres. So right now you have 2 legally existing non-conforming lots. We're going to merge those and eliminate those 2 non-conforming lots and create 1 conforming lot as part of this process. If we get approval in advance of filing the Mylars that would go with that approval, we will file the necessary documents to merge those 2 lots. In addition to that, I know you're aware that Colvest also has developed the CVS and Starbucks property, which is not immediately adjacent to this piece because there's a dentist's office in between. But Colvest is making a concerted effort to make these parcels work together. And in the overall site plan, which Dana just exposed and which is part of the materials that were submitted with our application, you will see that there is a plan to create a common driveway and parking arrangement. We have drafted, my office has drafted a declaration to record on the land records, which will create rights in all of these properties to utilize the driveway and parking so that it can be a coordinated and consistent property utilized for all of the uses that Colvest has established. God bless you. So I wanted to make you aware of that. We still have part of the Porter's Pass piece that is not yet developed, and someday we hope to find a tenant. Colvest has been working, I've been working on this piece with Colvest, it feels like 20 years. Could be. I was much younger when we started, and I think we've made progress. I think that the latest effort with Starbucks has turned out extremely well, benefited the site, and we think that this development will lend further to that, and hopefully we'll find an appropriate user for the balance of the Porter's Pass piece. The automotive building that's still on the Porter's Pass piece will be raised as part of this project, as well as the current building that's on 1073, which will also be removed. The proposal is to construct a new 2,326 square foot restaurant facility facing Farmington Avenue. And I understand why staff has characterized this as a fast food with a drive-through restaurant. The potential tenant would take exception to that. They don't consider themselves a fast food restaurant. They consider themselves a fast casual restaurant. I'm sure you can see the difference. But the other unique aspect of this particular proposal is that the drive-through facility is not what we wrestled with the Starbucks, with the menu board and the microphones, and is it going to disturb other people, and how do we control that? The process that this tenant uses is a pre-order through your telephone or computer, tablet, whatever. You order that way, and the window for the drive-through is only to pick up your order. You're not parking or stopping your car with the motor running or making an order at a menu board and then waiting in line for it to be ready. You don't get in line until it is ready for pickup. So it's a different method of operation, and it Chipotle has used this in other places to great success. And it's the reason why they need time to prepare meals that are ordered. It's not like some other typical fast food places, some that you just discussed this evening. And so there's an arrangement there that lends itself to a smooth operation and not a lot of stacking of cars lined up 10 or 12 deep, like sometimes you see at Dunkin' Donuts at 7 o'clock in the morning or whatever. That's not what this is designed to accomplish. The restaurant is a permitted use in this zone by, if it were just a sit-down restaurant, it would be by site plan approval, but since it's been characterized as a fast food restaurant with a drive-through, we're required to secure a special permit as well as site plan approval, and that's the application that we filed. Proposed restaurant will have 67 seats, 45 inside and 22 seats in an outside patio. So that we do have both inside and outside dining for customers who choose to eat at the restaurant. We did have the opportunity to review staff comments. Staff was, very helpful in forwarding those to us in advance of the meeting so that we could be prepared to address some of the concerns expressed and to acknowledge and perhaps put some questions to bed, if you will. So with your permission, I'll just respond to those. This is the special permit site plan staff report, dated, my copy is dated October 10th, 2024, and it's 3 pages. Proposal is accurately represented. The plan set has been filed by J.R. Russo. Dana Steele is here and can speak to the plans. I just want to work my way through the staff comments because I think it's a good way to review the application. Farmington Avenue is a state highway. We have already started working with the Connecticut Department of Transportation with respect to the utilization of the access onto Farmington Avenue. One of the interesting aspects of this and one of the, I think, benefits of this particular development is that sort of unusual double driveway that services the dentist's office and this site currently. If you look at the site, there's a wide driveway and you can either go onto this property or the dentist's property from the same driveway. That arrangement is going to end and the dentist driveway will stay as his driveway where it is, but the piece that currently services as one separate access to this piece will be eliminated so that curb cut will go away on our property. And the other curb cut that exists will be the one that we utilize for access to the site. So we're getting rid of a part of a curb cut on Farmington Avenue as part of this proposal. Second,
Excuse me, can you just show me
Sure.
where this curb cut's gonna be eliminated and what's it gonna, just so I'm aware?
Farmington 1224, you have a.
Is that the dentist place right there?
This is the dentist.
Okay, so he
property. Right
keeps,
now, his driveway, we have a plan that maybe shows this a little more clearly. Existing.
Can you tell me what might look to?
Sheet 3. This is the existing conditions plan prepared by Davis firm.
Oh,
I don't know if this stretches.
On the existing conditions plan, sheet 3 of 11 that's been filed as part of her application. 1224 Farmington Avenue is the dentist's office here. It sits between the properties that Colvest owns, the property that's subject to his application, and then the CVS Starbucks property is beyond this piece. We wrap around it.
Yeah.
In terms of what is owned by Colvest. Right now, there's a driveway into the dentist's office that is so wide that it's also a driveway into this site. It's right here.
okay.
That curb cut, you can see the curb maybe if you look closely, that will be closed so that the only access from Farmington Avenue to this site, once it's redeveloped, will be from the existing driveway that is further to the south of Farmington Avenue.
Okay, so the dentist driveway will be minimized.
It will be the same as it is now.
Okay, but it just won't bleed over into the,
Correct. There's
Oh,
another
okay,
7 or 8 feet of pavement that serves as a driveway
okay.
into our site. That will go away.
Oh,
And
oh, when you said you were gonna close off one driveway, I got all excited here. I just perked me up. I said, whoa.
still need one to get in, so.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
One.
Can't,
Okay.
can't get everything.
The, we had, our parking, as shown on our site plan, obviously exceeds your, regulations. We have more parking than your regulation would require. But we're happy with the parking that we have. We think that, the user will perhaps not make use of all of these parking spaces, but we know that there has been a demand on the CVS side. We had, if you recall, we had to add parking once before. So we think this is a good idea. In addition to that, eventually when we develop the rest of Porter's Pass, whatever excess parking we're building now will help us serve that other tenant. And so while it's in excess of the minimum that you require, it seems to us to be a suitable operation. I will point out to you that we meet or exceed all of the bulk requirements of the CCD2 zone, except for we have a parking space that is only 7.9 feet from the Farmington Avenue property line, and your regulation requires 10 feet. It's existing, so it's legally non-conforming. It was there before you imposed that regulation, and we propose to leave it. But I did want to point out that that's the only non-conformity to your regulations on the site as presented to you. Everything else is in compliance. I accepted the challenge that Maureen made in her comment 3, where she wants to know how we meet the design standards, Farmington Avenue design standards. And having watched the prior public hearing, I do this with a little trepidation. The guidelines are very specific and very extensive. I'm certainly not going to go through every line of them. But I do want to touch on some things that I think we do satisfy to a high standard. And I hope that you would agree with me. Pedestrian mobility and safety. We have a sidewalk already on Farmington Avenue. We are connecting to that with a sidewalk. We need a crosswalk to get through the space for the exit from the pickup lane. But we are creating the opportunity for pedestrian access from Farmington Avenue directly into the front entrance to the building. We're also going to construct about 200 feet of sidewalk along Porter's Pass where there is no sidewalk currently. We're going from the end of the existing sidewalk basically to the end of our property. We're about 5 feet, I'm gonna say 5 feet short of the Cambridge Heights private road, but there will now be a sidewalk all along that frontage on Porter's Pass where there is none now. So we think we're taking a step forward in terms of pedestrian mobility and safety. Mr. Lapointe is going to go through the details of the building shortly, but what I hope you will agree with is that the proportion and massing, the scale of this building is very consistent with what's on Farmington Avenue now. That's what we were trying to accomplish because I think there is something of an architectural sense there. And so we think that we've made an effort to accomplish that. The majority of our parking is to the side and rear of the proposed building. So I think we have addressed that issue. We have internal pedestrian opportunities to get into the building with sidewalks along the front of the building and connecting to, as I said, Farmington Avenue. Dana, in his presentation, will talk about lighting and the fixtures. Plan calls for 20-foot high poles, full cutoff, dark sky compliant fixtures that will light the site. So that and those would be compatible with other lighting that we've used. Signage, we think needs to be deferred. We're not presenting signage tonight for approval. We need to present that to staff and go over and make sure we're in compliance before we bring it forward to you. So that we're not, the signage that you see on the building, we're not asking that be part of the approval. We are presenting a landscape plan. Planting substantial trees along the Farmington Avenue frontage, planting trees along the north boundary, along the outside of the drive-through area. Those of you who've been out there know that right now there are no trees anywhere there. And there's not too much we can do between us and the dentist. He has a chain link fence on his property line. And we have about 5.5 feet of green space on our side. And so we've spaced some larger trees along that area to create some visual break between the dentist's office and this property. We have lilac plantings along the outside dining area to create some screening and some interest and also some color, obviously, seasonally. And then we are creating grass where there really is none now, and actually reducing the amount of impervious coverage on the site by about 1,400 square feet of existing pavement is going away. The service area is to the rear of the building. It will be fenced and screened. Pretty much the way Starbucks is. That's sort of the model that we used. But it'll be completely surrounded and fenced and screened as you would expect. Peter will talk a little bit more about the building, but the parapet on this building is about 4 feet high. We think that the mechanicals will be low enough so that they'll all be below the parapet. But I think that when we did the Starbucks, the way this commission moved forward with that was with the condition that if, in fact, the mechanicals are visible, that screening would be added subject to approval by town staff. And we're fine with that. We think we're going to be below the parapet, but rather than make that promise and not keep it, if in fact it turns out that we're above the parapet and it's visible, then we would work with town staff to screen it so that it is not visible from public view from other places. As I said, the front of the building, which is substantially a lot of glass and has a pretty substantial entrance, faces Farmington Avenue. There's another entrance on the south side of the building towards the parking. But this building is oriented to Farmington Avenue the way your guidelines suggest. So we've done that. I think that the materials that are being used on the building create enough variation so that there is a human scale to the building. You'll hear from Peter. He has some samples of materials. We are using high quality materials. We discovered that Chipotle thinks that an EFIS building is just the best thing, and they're not getting one here. This building will be brick and cementitious clapboards, and AZEC trim. Those are the materials that we propose to use. So we think we're satisfying that. We have, as I indicated, the main entrance faces Farmington Avenue, which is the abutting public street. We have talked about the rooftop mechanicals and how we propose to protect the town from inappropriate view of the mechanicals if in fact the parapet is not high enough, although we at this point think it is. So in that regard, we think that we've made a real effort to meet the Farmington Avenue design standards. I understand that especially architecture is in the site and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But we think that this building is consistent with the development in this area in Farmington Avenue and will fit in well. The non-conforming auto use that is currently not in use but has not been abandoned in a legal sense as part of this, the raising of the building as requested by staff, we will provide the necessary documentation that indicates that that use has been abandoned. At this point, it has not legally been abandoned, and so that loop should be closed. We agree that if at some point in the future there's a drive-through, a change to the use of the drive-through such that there's a menu board and all of that, that would require us to come back to the commission for that approval. That's not what we're presenting. That's not what we're asking you to approve. And we state on the record that we recognize that. And if there is ever someone who chooses to make that change, it would require approval by the commission. Building official health district comments can be addressed. Dana will speak to engineering comments, a memo we received. Erosion control measures, we have an erosion sedimentation control plan. And certainly we will do what we have always done, which is to install those to the satisfaction of your staff, including the right to supplement it if there's any issues, although the site is pretty flat and pretty well developed in terms of those kinds of matters. We understand that there have to be an updated site plan referencing the approval, certainly. And then before a certificate of occupancy is issued, you would get a as-built plan as well. I think those are all of the comments from staff, none of which we think are issues that cause us any concern. Police chief has indicated no traffic concerns. As indicated in the staff memo, we received a wetlands permit in August, as well as, you know, your wetlands agency also serves as your flood agency. We have a little bit of flood zone in the back to the rear of the Porter's Pass piece, and they also issued that permit at their August meeting. So that those items have been addressed and secured. We recognize the needs of the health department, but that comes later when the restaurant is actually laid out and this equipment is established. And we certainly understand the process to address that. As I indicated, Dana will talk about engineering concepts, lighting, some other items. Maureen suggested that we needed to defend our stacking for this particular drive-through, and I'm happy to do that. It's not as long as the drive-through at Starbucks because that's a different function. People are stopping, ordering, and waiting for their order to be completed. This is a very different arrangement in that regard, that when you get in that line, and maybe the first time you go, you're not going to realize you can't order from the line. And that's, if you notice, we have a bypass lane so that if somebody gets in there by mistake, they can get out, because they're not going to get to order except by their phone or by some other electronic means. So in this regard, the people who are going into that lane already have their meal prepared, and they've gotten a text or something from Chipotle that says it's ready, come pick it up. And so they go and say, I'm number 37, and they get their meal delivered to them immediately. There's no preparation going on. Nobody's sitting waiting for their meal to be prepared in that line. So you don't have the backup of stacking when somebody decides they want to change their order from 2 hamburgers to 5 that you get in some other kinds of fast food places. That's not the process here. So we think that the stacking that we have, which we think is 8 to 10 cars, is certainly more than adequate. As I indicated, we have the 2 lanes, and anybody who's in the line that doesn't belong in the line has a safe way of exiting without interfering with those people who are picking up their materials. I think that's all I have. I'm going to ask Dana Steele to come up as the licensed professional engineer for the plan. Then Peter Lapointe will come up and introduce the building's details to you. And then we'll be happy to.
Before you leave, I just have
Yeah.
one question.
Okay.
Okay. Can you clarify, please, with respect to the drive-through, will there be signage that tells those people that don't have the app that,
SRL?
yeah, to go,
Don't get in line.
don't get in line? And then, I guess
away.
sort of a spin-off from that, which I hadn't considered until hearing what you had to say. What if somebody changes their order? Does that kind of bog things down?
Tell them to go around.
Exactly. Their order has been prepared the way I'm Peter Lapointe from the Colvest Group. Their order has been prepared the way they ordered it. And if they want to add 6 burritos, then somebody makes a note of that and they send you out. We'll send you a text when they're ready. Go back or come in and pick them up.
June, did you have a question, I think?
On that, please forgive me if I didn't follow completely, but there is the one very small non-compliant part, which was a parking space from Farmington. Is that right?
Regulation calls out that in this zone, the first parking space needs to be 10 feet from the front line and a 10-foot setback.
From the sidewalk, from the street?
Property.
Can you point that out to me? Because I may have a concern. Okay, so that's right off of the street. So you're giving less time from someone pulling in to react to a car backing up. I guess that's my concern about it being short. Can you eliminate that one parking space
Yes.
to give
Sure.
more? Because people in our town don't drive slow. And if they turn that corner, like a lot of these young kids are going to enjoy this restaurant, because I'm thrilled, actually, that first space is going to be a challenge if it's shorter than what's recommended. That would be my suggestion.
As I indicated, we have
More than you
more
need.
than your minimum requirement. And we could make that green space that's right on the edge there bigger and eliminate that parking space.
And then my other question is traffic flow. So as they back out of their parking spaces, say they came into the building, which why would you do that when you are ordering on an app? But they can. Do they exit to the back of the drive that you're creating between the businesses, or do they have to circle all the way around to come out front? They can't turn around and come straight out to Farmington. They have to go around the building. Is that the traffic flow?
No, there's two-way traffic in the aisle to the south or to this side of the
On the
building.
parking side?
Correct. So that you can, if you pull into one of the spaces along the side, you could back out and go back out to Farmington Avenue. You could also go to the northeast and go out to Porter's Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think that what will happen is people who are going right on Farmington Avenue will go out to Farmington Avenue and turn right. People who want to go left on Farmington Avenue,
We'll go
after
in
they wait
Farmington.
a couple of times, they'll go out to Porter's Pass and go down to the intersection.
Okay.
There's always a learning curve with businesses like this where people figure out the most convenient and efficient way to enter and exit. And the creation of this coordinated driveway system, we think, is a big improvement for the entire Colvest development, and the creating of a common driveway and parking system among the properties is a big benefit to tenants and therefore to the owner. So
Yeah.
pretty happy with that.
So let me ask a question. This is all part of one project. Can you explain what's going on behind? You know, I mean, on Porter's Pass to that abandoned, you said car auto place. I mean, is that part of the project? Is that,
The only part that is involved with is the fact that the building will be raised. Otherwise, there's no activity
okay,
proposed. We have, if you look closely at the plan, we have the area of activity outlined by a squiggly line.
mm-hmm,
No, this is the floodplain area.
No, I think because we have to develop this.
I think it's this light gray
Right.
line that goes.
That's where the development will occur, except for the raising of that building.
so if I'm going out the back way, where do I go? Because I think I got confused with all the squiggly lines, at least from what I'm trying to see
So
from here.
If you want to exit
Mm-hmm,
from the site and end up on Porter's Pass, you would follow the drive through the parking lot that services the CVS,
and that's where the drive-through window loops around, right?
correct?
Okay.
Around the back, and then you would go out the existing driveway onto Porter's Pass. That would not change. But what will happen is that as a matter of the land records, there'll be rights granted to 1073/40 Porter's Pass to pass over the other property, so that everybody has the rights to use the driveway.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
I just had one question. You indicated that there was two non-conforming uses that are currently part of the property, the automotive repair shop, and what's the second one?
No, we have two non-conforming parcels.
Parcels.
They're undersized. They don't, neither of them meet the 2-acre minimum.
Oh, I see.
We have one non-conforming use,
Use.
which is the automotive.
I got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, anyone else?
Joe,
Yes, Tim.
Yes, well, a couple things. I know you said that if it becomes a real drive-through, not just a pickup area, that you would have to come back here.
Correct.
I would like that noted on the plans, so any conditions like that you agreed to be noted on the plans. Because that seems to be something that comes back later on, haunts us. And the other thing is, I know this area to the back of this property, now that your parking lot's starting to infringe into that property more. That was a big pond before. Okay, it's been filled in, actually, all these buildings are sitting on the pond. Okay, and there's a big pipe going from the pond across Borders Pass to the ponds over in front of Stop and Shop. Okay, I just want to make sure that those are considered when you're future building on there.
We'll ask Dana.
Okay, as long as you're well aware they're there, because, they are structures that, you can't really build on,
Correct.
and I just,
Dana, you'll speak to that?
it's a long time ago, before my time even filled in.
Perhaps that, that old pond area could be incorporated into like a water feature as
Oh, that's
part of your
lovely.
landscaping.
yeah, I like that.
Beautify the back.
Yeah, another fountain like.
Rain gardens. No.
Just- No. Well, wait,
Well,
wait, don't.
you have the pond kind of
Well, it's still there, but
lend
get to get
itself
back
to
out a
the
little bit.
Would.
town green.
It sure would.
The geese will come. You build it,
Just
the
a-
geese will come.
They're gonna come anyway. But anyway, all right.
All right, so if you don't have any more questions at this point for me, I'm gonna ask Dana Steele to come up. Yeah, we'll be here.
Oh, that's good.
He said he likes coming to We do.
We're a laugh riot.
Right, good evening. My name is Dana Steele, I'm a professional engineer with J.R. Russo and Associates. Our office is at 1 Showham Road in East Windsor. And we prepared the site plans for this project. And Peter's done a good job of going through everything in quite a bit of detail. So I want to repeat what he said, but I would just offer from my own perspective. I think this is a good use of the property as a site engineer. It's about how things should be done. There's a lot of ideal things about this. We have eliminating a curb cut, or at least reducing the size of a curb cut on Farmington Avenue. We are providing interconnectivity. The fact that this could have been owned by someone else, but the fact that Colvest owns this and Porter Pass and the CVS and the Starbucks, and there's cross easements between them, I think is really a benefit, and it's a good situation. So I'm happy with that. We have a building that's being proposed for the restaurant use with the drive-through lanes. The tenant wanted that second lane so that there's some flexibility if you get in line. Ever been in a drive-through line and that seems to be taking forever, and maybe you gotta get somewhere and you just say, I can't wait any longer. Be able to get out of line is a nice feature. To do that though, we had to remove the existing building, move it over to make room for this drive-through in those lanes. So, but I think that this is a good design for this site. It's going to be an improvement, and it's fortuitous that we have the right developer working together to kind of make this area work well for you. So I just want to mention the town engineer's report dated October 16th. He had 4 items. The first was a summary of the traffic study. And I'll defer any specific questions you have on the traffic study to our traffic expert, Galid, who's here. But essentially, the town engineer hasn't raised any concerns about the traffic report. He's just acknowledging what the conclusions of the report are, and the trips that will be generated. So regarding number 2, sanitary sewer, he's got comments about details the grease trap, this is restaurant use, so there is a grease trap to provide separation of grease to not clog your sewer lines in town. And so we have the proper things. He wants it, the size of the grease trap noted. He wants protector lining, a coating of the interior of that grease trap. So we're happy to provide all of the details and notations and information that the town engineers requested. So regarding sanitary sewer, we have no objection, no issue with that. Regarding storm drainage, was mentioned, this site is already paved, already has a storm drainage system. We're removing some of those catch basins. We're installing 4 additional catch basins and leaving one existing one. And so it's going to be better drained. It's going to be better graded. We're going to regrade it so that everything drains properly and it drains to the back of the site. Right now, the site all ties into a drainage pipe that goes through this easement. And that easement connects up with another drainage easement in favor of the town. Runs along the side there of the private street to and from Porter's Pass. So yes, there is drainage along the Porter's Pass property, the eastern boundary of Porter's Pass. All of our drainage is going to tie into that. We've checked the system and find that one, we're reducing the amount of runoff. Two, the system has a capacity to handle it, not just for our design storm, but for larger storms. And the town engineer mentioned that your regulations require a 25-year storm, and we had analyzed the 10-year storm. But we also looked at the larger storms and saw that they worked. We noted that in our drainage report. He's just asking for the supporting documentation for their record. I think they want to have all that on file. So we're happy to provide that for their records. And then also comments regarding the water service. The Kensington Fire Department has final say with regard to that, but we need to specify the size of the water service, and I think that's going to be dependent on tenants' requirements for. There is an existing line, I guess and that we're tapping into, but we're going to be bringing in a new service from the street.
Got an existing line on site, shouldn't have to go into the street at all.
No, not into the street, but from we're connecting on the property.
From the meter.
To the new connection point.
All right, yes.
Existing service goes to a building that's going away, so there's a portion of that service that needs to be replaced. And then sidewalk details want wire mesh added to our detail. So we agree with all those comments. Suggest that they could be conditions of approval. Items 2, 3, and 4 from the engineer's memo could be conditions of approval if you choose. I made notes about the elimination of a parking space and about coming back for the additional drive-through menu. So we'll add those details to the plan when we submit the final ones for. So yes, Peter mentioned the lighting plan. We're adding 6 new light poles. They're LED lights, low energy use, full cutoff fixtures. And so there shouldn't be much glare. All the lights can be directed down and just where it's needed throughout the site. Peter mentioned the landscaping as well, so I won't go over that again, but there are trees, pear trees, crab apples, and the lilac bushes on the front. And there is a dumpster enclosure. My understanding, they want to make it the same as Starbucks, which is chain link fence black with the black privacy slats in them. So it would be completely enclosed as the plan indicates, and that's what the intention is for the dumpster area. I feel like Peter's really covered a lot of the details already, so I don't want to.
Okay.
I got
I-
one.
I think Tim and then June, you have a
I
question?
got one question.
Okay, you're
The
allowed one.
traffic flow, you got in and out coming in the driveway on the southern side, I guess it is. On the northern side, you got 2 lanes going around the bypass lane and the drive-through lane. Okay, so there's a merger of those 2 lanes to get out to Farmington Avenue, basically. I know there was a conflict problem at Starbucks, and it was corrected with a little island and little different design that you put there after the fact because of the conflict of a CVS driver coming in one going out, one going in. But I just wanted to make sure that conflict of the cars coming out and the cars coming out, both of them coming out, that conflict there is a stop sign there or whatever. I don't know what signage you gotta put, but I remember I come back for that little bit of thing on Starbucks, so I just.
Right, yeah, there is a stop sign proposed for the people exiting the drive-through. They have to stop, yield to the traffic that's exiting.
Oh,
the parking
so
spaces.
is that drive-through right-hand turn only, or do they go left, go around
They-
to Porter's
they-
Pass or whatever?
It could go left. I don't know how many would want to go left, but they're not restricted to right turn only, so they could turn left. And you turn left or right.
June,
There's the drive-through lane there's 2 lanes, but that second lane really doesn't have a lot of traffic in it. It's not like so as far as there being congestion with that, it's really a rare occurrence where you're gonna have cars in both lanes.
June,
Yeah, that looks like it converges to just a single lane before
Correct.
you would have to turn right to the entrance of the business. So that is a single lane leaving the business on Farmington? It's not a 2-lane,
It's a
right?
single lane leaving and a single lane entering.
Okay, and then, Tim answered the corner where they run together with the stop sign. Curious, I'm doing a Joan Veely question. On the back of the parking, you said the whole space circled in yellow is part of this project. Can we put trees behind the parking lot to shade that space, or is there not available to do that? It's not available.
Peter,
Dug that out.
Peter, can you go to the microphone? You're not gonna get picked up.
The trees, I'll let you.
The area in the corner is the flood comp area. It's been excavated, it will be excavated more. So we can't plant trees in there, that's for flood storage.
Okay, all right, Thank you for the explanation.
so I'll ask you another Joan Veely question. When we look at the back of the building, I mean, I know that there's nothing planned yet for that overall backside, but just looking at it, and the renderings that we have here, is there, and it's hard for me to say, is there any, or hard for me to tell, is there any landscaping or green area in the back of the building? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay,
Part of the green. That's rendering.
so you just have sort of an island there that's gonna help keep the traffic flowing in one direction. All right, and you have your trees, and you said they're gonna be pear, crabapple, and lilac, I believe you used?
Pear and crabapple for the trees,
Okay,
the shrubs, lilac.
okay, all righty. Yeah, because I'm just looking at the rendering here, or at least I think that's, and have we gotten to the architectural part of the
Not yet.
movie yet? Okay, good. All right, so I'll wait my questions on. All right, thank you.
Good.
All right, that's all I have. Go.
He just said they dug out the detention area. That's a detention pond, not a.
It's not a detention pond. It's a flood storage compensation area. So the portion of the site is located within the 100-year flood zone.
Okay.
Because we are expanding the parking into that area, we're filling within that flood zone, and which decreases the flood storage capacity, which has a domino effect on other properties in the area. If the water can't flood here, it's going to flood somewhere else. So to compensate for that, we are excavating in the area in the back. They've done it once before. That's why there's that this area back here that was previously dug, and we're going to be expanding that to further excavate that area, lower the grade there, and that. And we've done the volume calculations to show that we've compensated for that. So the end result is no change, actually a slight improvement in flood storage.
But it's not gonna hold any water. Is it, I mean, is it gonna hold water all the time, or is it going to be a dry basin, filled with, wildflower flowers or something? But you know,
I think it's does have water in it sometimes.
Does have water in it sometimes, it drains slow, Peter.
Oh,
Yeah, it does have water in it sometimes. It drains slowly, but it's not intended as a detention area. It's intended to provide flood storage capacity at times of heavy rain. Our goal was basically to set that whole area up so we could mow it and create a large green area instead of a derelict garage.
that's basically what I'm asking. If
no.
it's gonna hold water for a long time, then you have stagnant water or something like that in there. If it's not, and you go mow it, whatever, cut it, seed it with wildflowers.
I know we're still in public hearing. I just want to give an opportunity for any of the commissioners that are online or anyone at the public who wishes to speak. I know we have other parts we still have yet to get to, but at this point, is there anyone with questions? Brian, Steve Biella, questions?
I had a quick question.
Yes, Brian, go ahead.
So seeing as the building's being demolished and new paving is going in, I was just wondering, seeing as it's a big eyesore along Farmington Avenue, would the electricals be underground?
Nice question. Good question, Brian.
Yes, the electrical services are underground.
So they will be going underground. Okay. Do you hear that, Brian?
They are
I
now.
Okay, they are there. They're already there. Okay. Any other questions, Steve Biella? Anyone from the public online? No, thank you. Okay, anyone from the public online? No, okay. Chris Edge?
Hello, Chris Edge, 240 Kensington Road. I am here, Economic Development was very much in support of this unanimously. We're very pleased that they have brought the properties together. I think the long-term opportunity is definitely there to see more development. I know when this was essentially separate parcels, the garage in the back, Peter and I have spoken at length what to do with the back building. And I think this leaves an opportunity to see future development on the parts that aren't in the flood zone. Very pleased that they have opened up the access to Porter's Pass. I know right now, especially with the discussions that had happened with Starbucks and Starbucks building, having that second means of egress, I think, is important, especially certain times of day when Farmington Avenue is busy. I think it is wonderful that we are getting this growth. I am of the belief, as well as other folks that do what I do, that a mix of local, regional, and national is what makes a downtown and makes Farmington Avenue work. Because some folks are into certain things, some folks are not, whether you're local. I think it's great for the fact that this will be a brand new development, and the fact that it's going to be just a pickup window and not a drive-through, I think, which will help considerably, because I know that was always a concern, especially with the neighbors. And overall, I'm just very pleased right now with the work that Colvus has put in, because I know that this has been something that they've looked at for a while, and I appreciate the fact that they have come to the table and hope they can work something out with the commission. I think this will be a nice addition.
Thank you. Now I know that. Okay, Tim?
One other thing on the parking. I noticed that you extended the parking out like we did on the Starbucks and stuff like that. And the parking behind CVS. I've noticed that the employees are using that back parking lot and leaving the front park places to their customers, which thing. And I think that should be indicated in this one too, that the employees park in the back. Leave those open park places to the front of the customers. Because I see it working, and it's a good idea. Glad to see those park places being put there.
Okay, thanks. June, did you have something? I see you're chomping at the bit.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, commend you for that rear exit onto Porter's Pass, because I think that's huge. Traffic does line up, and it has several times this week past this facility. And it just gives us options, and it's very appreciated.
Okay, great. Now, who's up next? Oh, but the architecturals. This is the make or break deal. Yay. Yeah. Whoa.
Just water.
This water, okay.
There's water all over the plants, now all over the carpet. Blame it on the snow.
Yeah, and I'm Peter Lapointe from the Colvest Group.
Yay.
We have a build-to-suit lease with Chipotle, which basically said that we are building a building expressly for them and their floor plan and their operation. They gave us a prototypical building, and the exterior of their building was basically 100% EIFS with glass. EIFS is like stucco. It's that. And what we wanted to do was complement the exterior finishes on the Starbucks building. And I think that's where we've ended up. This is a larger building than the one that's on site. It's 26 square feet, single story. It has an outside seating patio and the to-go pickup window. The building will have a two-door main entrance facing Farmington Avenue, a single-door side entrance facing the parking lot, and a single service door at the back of the building for deliveries or for the employees to go out to the dumpsters. The size, shape, and layout of the building meets Chipotle's specific and unique operation, floor plan, and equipment requirements. They gave us basically the shape and layout of the building and said, this will fit our layout and our equipment. We are proposing to use, and it's actually their color, but we just found another way to do it. We're proposing to use a light gray hardy plank, or cementitious plank, across the top half of the building on all four sides. We're and a sample of the hardy plank is here. We're proposing to use a brick, and while that is a thin set brick, what we're using is a full-size standard brick on the bottom half of the building on 3 walls. The front of the building, the portion that faces Farmington Avenue, and half of the portion that faces the wall that faces the sidewalk will be glass from sidewalk level to ceiling level inside the building. The aluminum window frames will be the same color as the brick. The cap on the parapet, which is metal, aluminum, and the canopy over the drive-through window will be the same color as the light gray hardy plank. The windows are clear. And the parapet, the highest part of the building is this bump up at the drive-through, and that's 20 feet 8 inches above grade. The average parapet height will be 19 feet 4 inches, and that's, what do we say, 4 feet above the roof deck. So that's a 4-foot height all the way around to conceal the HVAC mechanical equipment. If it doesn't, we'll come back and screen what's visible. And I think the only way it could be visible would be from Stop and Shop heading toward the light. Again, the colors are what the tenant wanted, the materials are what we wanted and we're proposing. We've given the tenant your sign regulations, and it's up to him and his sign contractor to come back and apply for and pull a sign permit and satisfy your regulations. Are there any questions about the design of the building?
Oh, my. Yeah, I know this is what Chipotle gave you, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to sort of, I don't know, I like the glass in the front of the building and around, but I'm looking at the side, where the service window is. Is there a way for us to add more windows into that wall to break up that wall?
I think you're gonna end up with your gas and electric over on that wall. That's one of the problems. So I can't have a wall opening with. That's where the gas meters are now on the building that's there. So that's the side it wants to come in on, and that's the service wall it should be located on.
Hmm.
Can't have a wall opening, door or window within, I think, 5 feet of the gas riser.
Is there a way to put a faux window there? It's almost like a,
Could be, but I don't think you could do a real window because you're looking in the back room.
I'm just trying to break it up, because if you're,
The dentist office is right there.
yeah, I mean, he's gonna be drilling and looking at this building over. No, I mean, I wouldn't
We
want.
could add, one of
Yeah.
the suggestions was that we can add another bump out, a pilaster.
Yeah,
Or a column to add some architectural.
yeah, just to break up the solid look to it. And, and I know that you were saying, oh, boy, that last application we had. But I mean, just to break it up so it's not so blocky looking. I mean, I love the windows. I love the brightness of it, but just
I think
give
it's,
us something.
I think it's a good idea. I can totally see somebody confusing a faux window for the actual window that you're supposed to be pulling up to and then kind of
Yeah.
just waving at it for about 30 minutes. So
Sheer fun.
that would be fun.
Then you could have coffee over there at Starbucks and say, hey, watch, here comes another one.
So perhaps we could see some suggestions of some sort of,
Yeah.
highlight, whatever,
Just,
of that light gray color.
yeah. And in the back, I get a little scared about that ladder that's going up onto the roof.
There's a panel showing the solid panel that prevents people from climbing up on the ladder, and we padlock it with a combination lock. The ladder or roof access is required by the plumbing code, actually.
And that's okay, but that's my concern is, somebody just, kids the way they are these days, who knows,
Yeah,
but anybody.
We've had a great deal of success with the panels. There's a couple of downtown urban areas where we've actually used 2 panels.
Yeah,
We've had something close by that the kids could climb on
all right.
and get by that first panel. But the locking panel works really well.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, that was a concern of mine. I know you need it to get up onto the mechanicals or whatever that are up there, but still. All right, anyone else? Thank you. Anyone online? Okay, none. Okay. So, we've seen, the architectural material and, what say the commission? Public hearing, so you have to close the public hearing. All
Okay,
right,
we're
well,
done.
yeah, I think so.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. No,
Second.
no public, yeah, I'd gone to them a couple times. All right, Yeah.
Make sure that
on things that, we referenced, either that Dana has referenced in terms of engineering comments and things that were in Maureen's memo that we've agreed to. I just want to reinforce the fact that we put all that on the record and that it would be reflected in any action that the commission would take. That's, as well as this, change to the, I guess that's the north side of the building, add a pilaster there.
Yeah.
I don't want to, if you close a public hearing, we can't talk.
Yeah, I know,
So
I know.
wanna make sure that that is all that that you're looking for.
Yeah.
He's got a good movie, memory. He put that extra in there.
But I think June
He
has a
did that
question before we, what do you think?
Their other expert is a traffic study guy, is that right?
Oh, wait a
We
minute.
haven't let him talk.
Oh, no.
Because
Don't.
we did a very extensive traffic report, and because your police and town engineers have reviewed it and didn't have any problems with it, we didn't want to have you sit through the level A, level B, level C lecture that you hear so often.
Appreciate that.
He's happy to do it if you want, but the report really speaks.
Yeah, to itself. Yeah, exactly.
He did his first one with this.
Okay, so, if there's no other further
Maureen
discussion.
has.
Maureen, go ahead.
So in
I'm sorry.
response to that, I just want to clarify, because I did realize I didn't get to say that. Attorney Halter, but as my understanding of the town engineer's comments are that they can be resolved during the permitting process. And just noting that if anything can't be resolved, for instance, if that calculation for the 25-year flood is not provided to his satisfaction, then of course the plan would have to come back regardless for that. And that be a condition, to meet his comments,
Mhm. Okay,
as well as the others. And I did try to keep track of adding them to the list. I'm sure Vice Chair Joycey did as well, but trying to keep track.
okay, alrighty. So anything else, commission? All right,
So
a motion.
A second,
okay, so I made the motion to close public hearing.
And then Tim is seconding the motion to close. Further discussion? Then all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. All right, so we closed the public hearing. Now, under deliberations, the first item was the item on the Worthington Ridge
And
and
that's
the Berlin
continued.
Turnpike. That has been continued. And now back to Peter LaPointe and the Colvest project. All right, so now we deliberate. All righty,
I'll
So-
start.
go right ahead.
I'm very excited about this for all the reasons that have been brought up as far as combining the properties and I'm looking forward to the day that you can grab onto where the dentist is. But I will make a motion to approve the application subject to staff comments and concerns with the condition that a second tower, I think you would refer to it as, be added to break up the western wall and forgetting
I
anything?
think we're gonna beef up a little landscaping in the back or whatever, or that island
what was the other thing?
where
we agreed to?
where the entrance was. Where the
Beef up-
parking space.
In the wetland area? No.
Parking space.
Oh, eliminate that first parking space in, and add green space where that first parking space was.
Notes to be put on if the drive-through becomes a real drive-through.
Notes to be put on.
Has come back here.
Yes, and then the other thing was the signage, that they'll come back for signage approval.
And the rest of staff comments.
And
List
the
of staff
rest,
comments.
yes, yes.
I would like to remind you that they said the cross easements would be filed. That they mentioned. as
Yes,
well.
so And that the cross easements will be filed.
And do we have anything on lighting on there? Or is that all the staff comments? The lighting?
I think he described the lighting.
He
to
did
your
describe lighting, yeah.
Right. The signage lighting is according to downtown? Okay. All right, make sure.
Oh, the fixtures themselves.
Well, the fixtures or in lighting versus out lighting.
Yeah, they are, they said they were dark sky LEDs. But I'm not sure.
Well, I'm
You
sure. that
discussed the
applicant
fixture
would
itself, so
know.
the fixture to the staff's satisfaction is more than reasonable.
I think with respect to lighting, we would also want to say on the record that there will be no lighting, window surrounding lighting
Oh, that-
that we're seeing in many of these other locations.
that are in violation.
Second,
What we have, yeah, we have a second?
do we have a second? No,
I
we
guess-
did not.
I guess we do.
Now we do. I don't
I
want to lose
think,
track of
I
that.
think I was done with the first, so now you have a second.
Any further discussion? Then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. Well, thank you, guys. That wasn't too bad, right?
They like Berlin tonight,
I wasn't too mean.
one night thing.
Okay. All right, now. All right, well, I see our attorneys here. Does that mean you want to talk to us in executive session?
Yes.
Okay. For the purpose of getting update from our attorney in executive session, I would need a motion and then we need to invite some folks in.
Executive session items into the record, because, you'll notice that there is an addition to the typical language in the first executive session item. And, when making the motion to go into executive session, you will be inviting myself, Mrs. Drewsty, as well as Mr. Snow. He is to be attending. He could be within the building right now. We will attempt to locate him.
Okay. All right, so executive session item, discuss the status of the litigation of the Little House Living LLC versus the Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission in Town of Berlin. Docket number is HHD CV 23-616-5456-6 S. And possible action relating to the same, including potential amendment and or modification of the stipulated judgment entered in said matter per section 15 thereof. 2, consider whether to convene an executive session to discuss the status of the litigation of Little House Living LLC versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and the Town of Berlin docket number HHD CV 23-616-5456-S. All righty, and we'd like a motion for that
Yep.
and
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session, inviting Counsel Jennifer Coppola, staff Maureen Giusti, and Mr. Snow, and that we will be adjourning the regular meeting after the executive session is complete.
okay, and invite, well, we have Steve Biella and Brian Rogan, and I guess we will be contacting them.
So we will call.
We will call you guys.
So you need a second.
And I'm waiting. Okay,
Second.
second,
They're going to come out of executive session, and we'll go back into public session again. I know sometimes what we do, I'm sorry, Ms. Steve was just concerned about this, just for clarification, because you started to mention this was, that, we will come out of executive session back into public session before adjourning. So I just want to make that clarification, because I know sometimes we adjourn right out of executive session, but there is the possibility that you may be taking action, which is, again, is why the first item is worded the way that it is.
okay,
So then I'll amend my motion to remove the Automatic adjournment.
Okay. And who had the second on that? Okay, an amendment by Mr. Dyken. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Those
Right.
opposed? So moved. All righty, so we'll talk to you guys soon.
A minute to end the
Yeah,
meeting.
that's fine.
Tape. Night.